everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I'm here with another vlog for you guys. I did a vlog for Pam Godwin's first book in this trilogy, and that was A Hills of Shivers and Shadows, otherwise known as Haas to make it short for us. I will try to link that down below and remember to put it up in the cards here, so you should go check out that vlog if you are interested. It does have spoilers, so just be aware of that. But I just got the arc for the second book in that trilogy, and I'm so excited to read this. This is The Cage of Ice and Echoes. So that title is really important too, which I will bring up. But I decided I will do a vlog. I'm not sure if I'm going to go as deep into spoilers or as long as I did on the first one, because the first book was a longer book. It was like 700 something pages. This one I think is like 400 and something, so it's not as bad. So we'll go ahead and dive into this book right away because I did read some of it last night. Didn't want to put it down. And then I read a little bit at work today. So let's go ahead and dive into my thoughts so far. Okay, so first off, I just want to bring up, hopefully, I don't know how bad it looks, but I have like a bloodshot eye going on right now, probably from reading too much, staying up late, stress from work. So I apologize if it's horrendous, but let's go ahead and talk about this book. So I am about 30% through, and this book, in the previous book, I don't really know if I should even do a full setup, but I'll just give you the bare minimum here because you really need to have watched that vlog or read that book before you go into this one. But that is about a woman who is captured by a man named Denver. She is kidnapped, drugged, taken out to the Arctic in Alaska, so where there's absolutely nothing for hundreds of miles. He flies her out there, and he brings her to live with him and his sons. He has 3 sons, and he has some weird stuff going on, and this family is pretty effed up, and he's the only one that can fly the plane and get them out of there and all of that. So a lot goes on. So if you haven't read the book yet, I would stop here and go read the book. But this one picks up right after our cliffhanger. A lot of shit went on in the last book. You know, Denver is dead, thank God. And this is big spoiler, so I apologize if you haven't exited yet. But Denver is dead. But with that horrible monster being dead, there's also now they are fucked. Like, they have no way. It's the winter. Denver didn't go get the supplies before the winter hit, and he's the only one that knew how to fly the plane. He has like the manual and all the info hidden from them. He was like basically he was an inventor, and he shut down their whole system of the way they had electricity and heat and everything they needed, and he shut that down and refused to turn it back on. And so they are totally screwed at the beginning of this book. We also have Wolfson, who basically decided to kill himself at the end of the book and jump off the cliff into the river, and he is gone. So these few are really feeling the loss of Wolfson. You know, that was their brother, and he also really loved Frankie, but Frankie only loved him like a friend, so that was really hard on him. And he basically took the stance of, we have no electricity, heat, we're gonna run out of food, we're gonna die out here. So he wanted to go. So that was a really devastating end to the last book. So now it's like a struggle for survival. The first 30% of this, honestly, it's not dark. It's more of like the stress of how these few are going to make it. Because now it's just Frankie with Kodiak and Leo. So Cody and Leo. So, and she's basically told them both, you know, I love both of you, want to be with both of you. So they're coming to terms with that. Cody is more secure in it and very reserved and understanding. Leo is very dominant alpha and doesn't want to share her, but he also loves his brother and realizes they're all like meant to be together. So now it's trying to figure out how are we going to get through this winter. They did have the snowmobile broke down like miles away that they need to go back because it has coal on it. And they need to go back to that to be able to get it, fix up the snowmobile and bring the coal back so that they will be able to have more heat because they're running out. So basically Frankie and Leo venture out on their own, and Cody stays back at the place, and they have to take this long trek to find the snowmobile. And then the big thing that deals with the title of this book is Denver, when he was dying, basically gave them this riddle about what could help them with the plane and survival. And it was about the cage of, it's like underneath the wings. Let me find the quote so I can actually bring it up here. Okay, sorry guys, I had to find my quote here. But basically the riddle he gave them was, beneath its wings lie the answers you seek in a cage of ice and echoes. So they're trying to figure this out. They're going under the plane, trying to open up certain parts. They can't find the key to the plane either, so they are like trying to figure out how do we hotwire an airplane. I mean, it's crazy just what they're trying to do just to survive. So on their trek to the snowmobile, they come across this cave. And he brings up, Leo's like, oh, there was like a butterfly carved into the cave, and that was done by Wolfson. And then he just stops and he realizes this is it. This is the freaking riddle, because the wings of the butterfly in a cage of ice and echoes, because it's kind of like this ice cave and obviously echoes and all this stuff. So they decide he needs to get to the snowmobile. And she says, trust me, let me go into the cave so we can save time because the storm is coming back in. It's going to get another snowstorm. So she goes in and she ends up finding in this like ice cage, end up being the manual for the airplane and a USB drive, a US drive. So he has a drive, which they can't even look into because they don't have electricity. And then at least the manual for the plane. So now they have some hope. So she ends up worrying because he still hasn't returned and the snow's coming down. So she leaves the cave, even though he told her, don't leave the cave. And then you know what happens? A bear comes along and she shoots the bear a couple times, but it's coming for her. So she's running for her life. He's finally got the snowmobile working and he's on his way. And he has to basically run towards her with this bear coming, kill him. And the snowstorm is coming really hard where they're not going to be able to get out of this ravine that they're in. So they end up having to stay in the cave for like 5 days. But now they have this huge bear full of like good meat where they're able to like eat up and kind of just have a nice little fuck fest in the cave. But she's very stressed out because Cody's alone at home and probably so worried about them. So they managed to get back with the bear, with the coal, and everything like that, and they kind of have a little reunion, and she just loves Cody so much, and Cody actually hasn't had sex with her yet, so Leo is the only one that's had sex with her, and I'm just dying for her to get with Cody, because Cody's my favorite. But they kind of have a little, almost three-way going action, but they're like, we're not gonna have sex, because you need to get your energy back up after everything we went through, so they both kind of bang her together, finger, They both do it at the same time, which was kind of hot. But so that's kind of where we're at. And now they're planning their next trek, which is Cody and Frankie are going to have to trek, I think, 30 miles to this other cabin where they had left a lot of meat that they had on their last hunting trip over there. And so they need to make that trek and bring back all that meat because they need to survive for the winter. And then they got to worry about learning how to use the plane and fly out of this place. So a lot going on. It's a lot of survival stuff. And then you also have Monty's POV, which is her husband. And he is actually looking for her. He has hired a bunch of people, called in a bunch of contacts, and he's searching for her. He did cheat on her when she was gone on the last one, and Denver had showed her footage of him cheating on her, and at that point she was done. She was staying loyal to him, but at that point she was like, fuck him, it's over. And so he feels really guilty, but he's like kind of like this billionaire that always has women throwing at him. So he's currently looking for her, but also trying not to have sex with this hot investigator chick. I don't know, private eye chick. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Monty, but there's a lot of secrecy with him because we found out that he's actually brothers. He's Denver's brother. And I think there might have been another brother. So that they didn't bring up. And Denver had basically said that he was taking what was Monty's because Monty took something of his. And so you're kind of wondering, did Monty have other kids or other women with kids, or was that the other brother? I don't know, you guys. It's such a head trip of like, what the fuck is going on? And now Monty's going back to his home on Kodiak Island, where I guess his father was like a Russian bigwig kind of guy that had a lot of crimes, and I don't know, like, so the family, I think his family is very fishy, and he never wanted Frankie to have a baby, and I think that had to do with Denver taking these women babies. So I don't know what's going on. Who knows what Denver was up to? But it's crazy, you guys. I've already talked way too long about this, but I'm really enjoying this one. It's not as dark as the first one because we don't have to deal with Denver anymore. Now it's kind of like this sweet bonding of them. They're all really falling in love with her, and they're just this great like MFM situation right now, which I'm behind. So it's kind of sweet, but like rough with their survival stuff they have to go through. So I'm going to follow back up with you guys once I read a bit more. I'm not sure if I'll do as many check-ins with this one, but I will follow up with you guys in a bit. Hey guys, just checking in. It's kind of late at night, but I got about 60% through the book. So some interesting stuff has happened. So I do need to update you. So Frankie and Cody go on their journey to like that hunting cabin. It's like a 2-week journey there because it's like they have to walk through bad conditions and like it's just a tough journey. So when they get there, the meat was good. It was kind of a sad moment because they kind of had hold on to this hope that Wolfson survived and was like staying at this cabin, but it was completely untouched. So they kind of broke down once that last bit of hope was gone and they realized Wolfson was truly gone. Like there was no hope that he was alive out there. So that was kind of sad. But the meat was all untouched and they start to connect finally. They kind of mess around a little bit. But the big thing that happens is they actually go out hunting because he saw tracks of like a moose that was nearby. So he takes her out hunting with him because he can't leave her alone. And they're kind of walking over this lake that's supposed to be really frozen over, according to Denver. Like, why are we trusting Denver? And of course, right when they see the moose, the ice cracks and Frankie goes down and he manages to save her, but her heart stopped beating and he had to give her CPR. And so he was just so traumatized because Cody like really feels like he failed her because she had to kill Denver and he feels like he needs to be her protector. He's just so sweet. Cody is my favorite. So he takes her back and he has to really work to keep her in front of the fire and body warmth and stuff so she doesn't get hypothermia. And then afterwards, when she's all good, she's done waiting, he's done waiting, and they finally have sex. Thank God. We were waiting forever. So they end up finally connecting in that way. And he's just so many sweet lines from Cody. He's the quiet, broody. He kind of grunts a lot. He doesn't speak a lot. But when he does, it means so much. So like there's one point even that he has like this long quote. Let me see if I can find it. But a long quote to his brother about like how they're all meant to be together and like sharing her and all of that. because Cody is completely fine sharing her with Leo. Leo's the one that kind of has the jealousy issues, but I mean, Cody is in no way like, he's still an alpha. So I love him. He does a lot of like choking and dominance, and I love Cody. I just love him. Let me see if I can find that quote real quick. Okay, this is a pretty long quote, you guys, so just bear with me. He says, "She's ours. That doesn't mean she's a possession, a toy to pass back and forth. She's ours in a partnership. She doesn't divide us. She multiplies us." This is him. He's like, "I bow my forehead to his, my voice hushed. Claiming her is our vow to stand by her and cherish her. It leaves no room for jealousy, only pleasure. No space for division, only unity. We're building a future with her, a life without boundaries, where we can thrive, share, grow, and fuck. The three of us together, we're unstoppable force. I know you know that. You want it. I see it on your damn face, but it scares you. Fuck, man, it scares me too. Don't change the fact that she's ours. That means I will never take her from you. She loves you as much as I do. She's ours, and I'm bringing her back." And that was before they go off to the hunting cabin. Sorry for that long quote. I don't know if I'll keep it in here after editing, but it's just a mouthful. And like, even like Leo's like, shit, like you've never said that much, I don't think, in your life. So I just love Cody, you guys. I love him. So they eventually head back home. They didn't get the moose, but they do take the long trek home, and they could see that Leo was like going kind of crazy, but he was a little bit more subdued. Like he was kind of working through his jealousy issues. He was working on the plane. He like I think he found the key under the tire of the plane when like he tried moving it a little bit. So I mean, just Denver is a psychotic fuck. Like the games he plays with them, he's just a freaking asshole. Even from death, he's like haunting them and everybody around him, because we also have a bunch of check-ins here with Monty, who is searching for his wife. It leads him back to his hometown and to his father's like house in Kodiak Island. And he is kind of thinking maybe she found out about this place, but it's been untouched. But he ends up finding like a secret like hiding spot in the wall, and it had a bunch of weird stuff in it. And he was like, fuck, like if he's hiding shit from me. His dad was a pretty shady Russian that like left Russia for Alaska because his enemies were after them. And he hated his father, but he ends up having the PI people, like the investigative chick, like basically tear through the place to try and find other hidden stuff. They find in the wine cellar, there was a hidden cubby area that had a picture of his brother, who he says was dead, which was Denver. So he thinks he's dead. And he sees a picture of Denver. He sees all these like blueprints for like obviously Denver's like nice advanced home in the middle of nowhere, like all the stuff that he could do because he was really smart inventor. He sees all this stuff, and then like flight logs. And back in the previous book, you know, Denver would work with this other guy that was kind of keeping, which we find out about him in a little bit, I'll tell you more, but he would kind of meet him with his supplies, and, you know, he would fly off in the plane to go back home. This guy didn't know where he lived, though. He was very secretive, didn't want anybody to know where he was located. So he finds this guy's name, and he's like, we need to find this guy. We also learn about a woman that he was like kind of a young girl at the time. She was like 16, I think. And she was like their maid's daughter, and he was obsessed with her. And so was Denver. And they had like some type of bad rivalry. So we don't find out till later what's like, because basically we're kind of on a journey with Monty of him finding out what the fuck is going on. So he goes out to meet this guy. Oh, I'm sorry. That girl that he was the maid, he's trying to find her too because he lost touch with her. And I'm sorry, my eye looks so jacked. It's so bloodshot. I look disgusting. I'm sorry, you guys. Anyways, I probably shouldn't call attention to my red ass bloodshot eye, but I don't know. My eye looks weird. Okay. Anyways, so he is gonna have the chick look for this woman too that kind of left supposedly later on and didn't stay with his family. His parents had died in a plane crash, which already sounds really suspicious because we know who Denver is. So he ends up going to meet that guy. Oh, okay, I think I found that girl's name. So her name was Kaya Nels. I think that's how you say her name, or Kaya Nels. And she is actually Cody's mother. So when they were on this trip together out to that cabin, Frankie's like thinking about the names of the kids and the significance and trying to figure out who their father was like the connection, because she does know that Monty was Denver's brother now. So she's trying to put the connections together. Okay, anyways, I couldn't find it, you guys. I'm sorry. But she's kind of going on about the names of like Kodiak, is Kodiak Island. Then you have Leo, which could be like this for like this Lions, whatever kind of place in Kodiak, I think. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up all the locations. But she's like, don't you think it's kind of significant because he was like so much more like your mom must play like an important role because, you were more important to him in some weird way. And Kodiak's like, he hated me. Like he told me he hated me. And so she's like, well, maybe he hated you for a reason with like the mother because he ended up loving you the most and having like the creepiest relationship with him. So she's trying to put together these pieces, these names obviously mean something. She's like, she was kind of wondering maybe Kodiak was the other missing brother. But she's like, the age difference just doesn't work. So anyways, there's just a lot of like trying to figure out what the hell was going on with this crazy family. So when Monty goes to meet this guy, he basically finds out that his father had been logging these flights and keeping an eye on this man that was, lived out here in the middle of nowhere somewhere, and all his flights and everything. And he pretty much figures out finally that it's his long lost dead brother, and he can't believe it because he thought he was dead. And he literally says, if he's alive, he knows I was responsible for his murder because so let me go to this section because it's crazy. So at one point he goes to the guy. He's trying to get him to tell him more information because this guy is like not talking. And he like shows Kaya's picture to the guy. And he was like, see this girl? He molested her when she was 8 years old. And she's not the only one. He hurts women, children. Swear to God, if you don't tell me where he is. And he basically was kind of telling him he's a psychopath. Like, he is ruthless. He's a psychopath. And so he had found out about that. And he wanted him to go to prison. He was going to be 18, so he'd be an adult. But his father did not want that to happen. It would look bad on them, and the enemies would come after them. So he wanted to handle it quietly. So Monty basically said, let's hire somebody to kill him. And then he ends up disappearing a month later, and his dad says he took care of it. His dad didn't take care of it. He basically set up this place for him to live. And then he would come out to like a nearby city. So when Denver would fly in, they could see each other or whatever. And out of that same time when Denver was there meeting with them, that's when their plane went down. And so he's like thinking, I think Denver did it. Like he got rid of them. because he had to be watched for like years because his father had men keeping an eye on his flight patterns to make sure he's not out getting into trouble, I think. And so with his father out of the picture, he would have a lot more freedom to go get his kids or kidnap those women and their kids. So it is a freaking mindfuck, you guys. So he's freaking out because he's like, he probably is coming after me, but instead he got Frankie. And they can't find Kaya anywhere because we all know what happened to all the mothers. So, they basically call into the police and, now they're going to be in search. They kind of know that the guy tells them he could only fly like 400 miles. So they kind of have a general area, but it's a huge freaking vast area. And he's trying to find his wife. Meanwhile, she is head over heels in love with Cody and Leo. And I just ended in a part where they have a sharing scene in the sauna where, they both share her, one in the mouth, one, regular sex. So they're not touching or anything. The guys aren't touching each other. They don't even know if they're really related, but they feel like they're true brothers because they've been raised like that. They have such a beautiful connection and just all of them. It's been like really sweet despite learning about Denver again, just Denver gives me the creeps. I hate him. It's a lot less dark without him in this, but kind of being in Monty's head and the mindfuck he's going through, he thought his brother was dead, but then he's never brought up another brother. So I'm like, was there another brother? Or was that brother a secret brother? Like, I don't know. All right, guys, I've already been talking for like 16 minutes. This is what Pam Godwin does. She gets you like thinking and thinking and thinking, and you just want to talk about it. So it's crazy. I don't know. I might be missing something because, oh yeah, there's this one quote where he said, Monty's like, I wonder if those logs kept him in check, if they kept him from hunting his favorite prey, children. Maybe they did, but he killed the parents, and now he had freedom to go get his own kids and be a freaking monster. Anyways, this book is crazy. I love it. I love Pam Godwin. Oh yeah, there's another part that he says explaining Denver. He says he has a brilliant mind, understands the mechanics of things, including people. He can outsmart and outmanipulate the sharpest, strongest person. And he does it without mercy or feeling. There's no limit to the depth of his evil. And then he's like, and he has Frankie. And he thinks Frankie is still pregnant. He has no idea she lost the baby. He has no idea. So this is crazy, you guys. Sorry, I was going to make this a quick vlog, and already I've talked a lot. So I'm going to try and finish this. I don't know if I'll finish it tonight. Yeah, I could. It's 9:44, so maybe I probably won't be able to put it down, honestly. So I'll see. I might force myself to go to bed for work because I have to get up at 5:30. So I will check in with you guys tomorrow either way to give you my final thoughts on this book. It's crazy. Hey guys, so I am doing my final check-in. I unfortunately wasn't able to finish the book last night. I did not want to put it down, but it was like 12:30 at night. I think I had like 80-something% done, but I had to get up at 5:30. So I really had to force myself to stop reading and go to bed. This book was amazing. Honestly, it wasn't as dark as the first book, but I didn't mind it because we needed a little break because the first book was so dark with all of the reveals of who Denver really is and what he was up to. So I really appreciate this book. I'm going to keep this as brief as I can, hopefully, because I've been doing a lot of talking and a lot goes on in the end of this book that obviously, you guys want to experience that yourself. I don't want to give everything away, but who am I kidding? That's what I do in my vlogs. So, so much happens because they have been basically preparing to fly the plane. They have the user manual. Leo's been like training and practicing. He's trying to do a lift off. He's barely able to do it, but he keeps practicing. But they are at their, like, they have to go. They have run out of food. They're severely malnourished. Like Frankie doesn't even really want to have sex anymore because she feels so unattractive. And they are just, you know, they have to leave. They're at that point. You know, Monty has figured out that his brother is alive and took her. And so he's trying to find her, but it's a huge area. So he's not going to be the one that's going to miraculously like save them. They have to save themselves. And Leo, basically, they get everything set in the plane and they make it. They take off and they're actually doing pretty good, flying for like a couple hours when, of course, a huge snowstorm like comes through and it's like hailing and you can't see anything, and they end up crashing. But they crash pretty close to a town and they are rescued and taken to the hospital. So Monty finally gets his wife back. But when he gets there, he's not prepared for these two pretty feisty, you know, feral men that love her and are territorial over her and do not want to share her. And so it's kind of a crazy thing of Monty basically been searching for her for like 9 months. He did cheat on her that one time, but after that he refused to, like, he felt horrible about what he did. And of course that's the video that, you know, Denver showed her to show like that she needed to move on with his sons. And so, you know, she doesn't trust him and she's not in love with him anymore. You know, she feels kind of bad for him, but she loves Leo and Cody. And so it's this awkward, you know, reunion. And like, there's a lot of stuff that has to come to light. You know, he has to learn about what his brother has done. And it's just a lot going on. And so, and it's a huge adjustment too, because Cody and Leo have never been around city, an actual hospital. They're kind of thrown in the mix here and they don't really know. It's going to be a huge adjustment period for them to get used to being a part of a society. And they're also struggling because Monty like looks at her like she's his. He is not going to back down. He wants his wife back. And they don't want any of that. So Monty actually ends up reading her whole journal where she literally had a diary where she wrote everything that she went through. Even the sex she journaled in there. Her miscarriage, her like seeing that tape of him cheating on her and how much it broke her. And so, you know, it's pretty heartbreaking for him. And so he still has that chick that's like an investigator. And I was really pissed because she comes in the hospital like totally checking out the guys and being like, you know, the Miss Seductress. And she had been trying to get with Monty this whole like 9 months. He was searching for Frankie, even though he told her he wasn't interested. She kept trying, and you could tell she's just very underhanded, and I don't like her. And don't look at my Frankie's men. Like, back off. But she's still like investigating stuff that he discovered at his parents' home and looking into things. They have to get a lawyer because they have to figure out how they're going to cover themselves, because Frankie full on murdered Denver. Even though it's kind of self-defense, but he was locked in a cage when she beat the shit out of him and shot him. So I don't know if that'll totally fly. They could get away with it. You know, and so they're a united front trying to keep things away from like the police and all that. So it's a very complicated situation. And now they have this USB drive that Denver left them. And so the lawyer has told them, yeah, we verified everything on it. It has DNA evidence, you know, all the stuff, and it all checks out. So they were able to explain who the fathers and mothers were, who the parents were for each of these guys. And so that is a big, like, reveal multiple ways here. Because when they met Monty, like, he looked so much like they kind of thought Kodiak might be his son, but he isn't, because Kodiak's mom was the one that was a young girl that... Anyways, so Kodiak's mother was the one that was like the underage girl that was basically assaulted by Denver when she was a young child. That kind of started all of this. And so they assumed, like, because Monty was into her too at one point, and Monty confirms, like, I never had sex with her. I didn't do that. She was too young. Although Monty is into younger women, so that's kind of why I was totally wrong on him not wanting to have babies because of Denver. It was kind of because of Denver, but it was because he thought there was something wrong with, like, their family, and that he was interested in younger women, and he didn't want to have a kid and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. But we find out who their parents really are, and we previously found out that, because they brought up the other mother, that was Wolfson's mother. And of course, Monty knew her because she had tried to trap him by getting pregnant. He thought she got an abortion, but she never did. And of course, Denver knows because he's been kind of stalking Monty to try and bring him down and fuck with his life. So he took her. And so Wolfson was actually his Monty's child. So, and then he has to find out that Wolfson's gone. He killed himself. But he's planning on, like, having his investigator go back and trying to find Wolfson's body or figure out what's going on. I don't know how Wolfson could have survived that fall and then the winter and no food. So, I mean, he's got to be dead, right? But, so then we find out that Leo's mother was actually another woman that Denver assaulted, and he is Denver's child. So is pretty bad. So a lot of revelations here. So he's actually Denver's son. And then we have Kodiak, is not Monty's son, but his Denver and Monty's father's son. So he is actually the missing brother that we know of so far. That's what I'm guessing. So it's so sickening when you think about what Denver did, because Denver literally raped his brother. He raped his own son, his nephew. Like, it's freaking sick. Denver is a monster. And even from the grave, he is haunting them because he has a video message for them. And he lets them know that he was actually following Frankie way before she was with Monty. And he followed her, and he kind of got them to be together. He instigated that and he's basically the puppet master. And he says he's not the worst. At least his stalking and craziness was straightforward, and that there's somebody else out after Frankie. And he's like, maybe they're in the room with you, or who knows, and he basically leaves them with another riddle. And he's doing stuff from, like, this set of poems that were hidden in his father's wall. And so there's just a lot going on. Let me go to the little riddle that he gives, because he left us with a riddle for the Cage of Ice and Echoes. Now we're left with another riddle to figure out who's after Frankie. Okay, this is a little bit long, but he says, so I leave you with the riddle that may save your life. Not all wounds bleed. Not all scars show. Some live beneath bones, cold and alone. In the chamber of frost, pain is my art. I'm the silent ache, the shadow that lingers, the present from your past, the knife in your heart. Who am I? Like, what the fuck? I have no idea, Pam. I have no idea. So I'm so, like, ready for the next book, and it's not coming out till August. So we have a wait. But it's worth it because this is genius. And basically Monty says, you guys need to transition and be in a safe place. You need to come to my island. I have a guest house that you guys can live in and transition, and that way we can keep you guys safe and Frankie safe. And then Frankie kind of tells him, yeah, we'll do that, but like, you're not my husband anymore. Like, she's very clear, like, I love them. And he's like, yeah, I'm not your husband. We're family. So that's how it ends. So much revealed, so much going on. So we finally got, you know, the reveal of how they're all related, and that's a shit show. So it was fantastic, you guys. The love scenes between them, they've shared her, but not DP yet, which I'm hoping that'll come in the next book. I don't know if Monty's going to be involved in this. I kind of don't want him to be. I feel bad for him, but I just feel her connection and love story with Cody and, you know, Leo so much more. So I don't know how Monty's going to come into play. Oh, there's my cat. Hey, Tootsie. Anyways, I gave this 5 stars, and it was spicy. I would say 4 chilies, and the spice was actually enjoyable this time because we didn't have Denver raping people in it. So much more enjoyable this time around. So I thought this was a lot sweeter because we were building their relationship, and I did enjoy it. So I'm interested to see what happens in the 3rd book and who this other stalker or enemy is going to be after Frankie. So I will see you guys. Hopefully I will do, maybe I'll do another vlog on the 3rd book, but that's not coming out till August. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. Leave me some black hearts. Those are my fave. And I will see you on the next one.